Hi again, Sreejesh.
Hey.
So what are you showing us now?
So now we're going to look at the dock, the Pro Tools Dock. This is the first time this has come to India, by the way. It's a beautiful piece of hardware. We've had a lot of engineers come in and check it out, and they've been tweeting all about it. Avid's been tweeting all about it. It's an amazing piece of thing. It's in fact one of the best controllers in the small form factor. I mean, if you look at it, it's a beautiful hardware on which you can dock in an iPad. Now, you can use an iPad Air, the iPad 234, or the smaller iPad Pro, or an iPad Mini. And you also have the software called the Pro Tools Control. It's a free app to download, and once you download it, you will fall in love with it.
It's only for Pro Tools registered users?
It's a Yukon thing, so it works with Pro Tools, Logic, Cubase 8.5, and anything that supports Yukon. Of course, we haven't tested all of them, but these are the ones that we know it works with. We would recommend Pro Tools 12.5 for the new control app. And if you look at the control app, it's such a beautiful interface. I mean, what you're looking at right now is the entire tracks view. You can look at 40 tracks in one go, and if you have more, you can just scroll up or down. It's pretty much very similar to the way the S6 looks like. And do keep in mind that this app is free. So if you look at this, you have something that's called a channel view, which was new in this. You also have a surround panel on the app itself. So if you're doing a pan over here, you can do that right there, or you can even expand that, and you have a completely big surround panel as a touchscreen. That's really, really nice. You also have the EQ over here. So the moment you put the EQ, it opens up the plugin on your session. You can have these knobs that track changes. So if these are also accelerated knobs, so if you rotate them a bit slowly, you can see the values are actually changing much more finer, right? You can see it just going in point values, and if I rotate it really fast, it just goes up and down. So you have like fine control over this without holding command and without holding a bunch of shortcuts to do that. You also have a mixer view, which shows you all of your faders right here. You can change your automation values right from there. You can choose what you want to look at it. You also have something that's called soft keys. Now, all of these buttons over here can be accessed from the dock. So let's say you want to look at your soft keys on this line. You can just push this button that lines up with the soft keys here, and if I push that, you can see it's come up with soft keys there. Now, what soft keys are is basically they're just buttons that you can align and assign to any shortcuts. For example, these are the ones that come standard on this. You can keep scrolling through that, scrolling up or down right from there. On this, we also have something that's called a soft keys page. And what a soft keys page is basically a collection of all of your soft keys. So it's like if you want to quickly go to some editing menus in there, you can have a look at the editing menu, go back home, you can look at some of the collaboration shortcuts, go back home. There's also some stuff that I created for Tracklay, for example, if you want to just quickly show the pan window, or just show the track number, or a bunch of shortcuts. Now, all of these shortcuts are actually a bunch of Pro Tools commands that run in a chain. It's called a Yukon macro. And what's really good about the macro is it's not tied to any particular application. It basically looks at what you're running. If it's Pro Tools, you can build a macro for Pro Tools. If it's Logic, you can build a macro for Logic, and it just works on that principle. You can go back home. Now, if you look at the dock itself as a hardware, it's got an excellent jog wheel. It's made of metal. It's extremely smooth. It's got really good buttons. You can also program all of these buttons, all of the buttons on the other side, and the transport control to make your own soft keys. So one of the things that I usually do is, as an example, is we're all very concerned about saving our session, right? So what I did is every time you hit stop on the transport, it would also save your session. So you could play, you could cross stop, it would save, it would stop the session, and it would also save. That's also a very, very useful addition. You also have two touch strips that you can use over here. You can also program those to set whatever shortcuts that you want to. You have a fader here, a single fader. So any track over here that you touch gets assigned to the fader over here. So it's basically like a very quick access to the fader, and then you can do your changes over here. You can do a solo, mute. You can also look at that on the channels page. So the moment you touch the fader over here, you can see the value of the fader that is happening over there. So if I keep moving the faders, you can see the value change over there. And all of these meters are also the exact meters that you have on Pro Tools. So if you're working on VU, if you're working on the Pro Tools Classic, Venue, K system metering, PPM, all of that, it reflects the exact metering that's there.
So how do you connect the dock to?
Right. So the dock, and if you look at the back of the dock, It's got an Ethernet port, so it connects via Ethernet to the system, to the Pro Tools system, or you can just connect it to a hub. What I've done right now on the iPad is I've used the Apple camera connection kit rather than using Wi-Fi. So with the camera connection kit, I've just connected a USB to Ethernet converter and connected that to a hub. And the dock also has a USB port at the back, so you can connect that to your charging port on your iPad. I mean, in this case, it goes directly to the camera kit, so your iPad doesn't run out of juice. And it's also amazing because you can choose what you want to see. You have a universal color view on the iPad. You can choose just to see your VCAs, your auxes, your masters, your instruments, or your audio track. So let's say if you're mixing some stuff on the S3 and you're mixing, let's say, vocals, and you want to quickly change the level of the delay, overall level of the delay, rather than hunting for your aux master, you can just go here, look at the aux, change the aux, and come back out of it. It's an extremely fast way of working, and it's a very compact surface. It's extremely lightweight in that sense. You just carry it around with, a lot of our engineers, music engineers especially, walk around studios. They're not, some of them are not tied to a studio. They're very used to going around and mixing, right? This is extremely lightweight. You can just walk around with it, have your iPad, go ahead and do your work.
Great. And who do you recommend should buy this and use this in their...
I mean, anybody who see, there are 2-3 things that you look at. Not all studios or sound design places have a huge space to set up a console or things like that, right? It's a very small form factor. So musicians, sound designers, even mixed studios, right? I mean, if you're using a large format console for some reason, you want a smaller control surface to quickly access things that you can't get on the others. You can try this out. Of course, we do have the S6 for that.
Thank you, Sreejesh.
Thank you, Avid. It's lovely meeting you again.